Alrighty, so we are now live. There we go. Everything's good. Perfect. Everything's working. Sound is on. Good. Better than last time. Welcome everyone who's watching. We have a few people watching right now. To another Get to Know Music person. Today I'm joined with Bob Bailey, one of my music mentors and influencers and all those things that got to me to where I was going back in junior high. I was probably a terrible student, but I mean, one of the people who was there. So we're going to be chatting with Bob and learning a bit about him, how he got to where he is these days. Well, these days are weird, so maybe we'll just talk about the history of like how you got into music, and then we'll talk about these days later on, because that's a
Yes,
whole different story. So how you doing, Bob? How's your day been? How's your summer going?
it's going well. Like you said, Steve, it's a different kettle of fish this year. Kind of sad. The school year ended abruptly in the mid-March, and
Yeah,
things were going
yeah,
well. And as far as music and bands, I had some of my best ones ever, and I was looking forward to great things. And then, bang, it was gone,
yeah.
just like that. So it is what it is. You can't protest a virus, I guess, but
I mean, you can, but I mean, that's just gonna
you're not going to get anywhere. But
exactly.
yeah, but the
Um,
year's gone was going okay, and
yeah,
summer's been nice.
yeah. Um, and so we will get into that. I don't want to get too. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could talk about with school and stuff, but we'll try to avoid as much as that we can because there's feelings and emotions that might go with that. That could be, we're professionals. We want to keep things for people watching. We want to make sure people keep their jobs and things like that. So we're not going to go anywhere crazy with these things. So let's just start. Like, how did you get into music? How did you, what was your drive to get into music? Where did you start?
Well, yeah, I grew up in a musical family. Like my grandmother was a steward in the United Church here in Like we're a Camrose family.
Okay.
I grew up, I came from here, was born here, and my grandmother was very active in the United Church, and she was like church organist and choir director there many years ago. My dad was sang in the choir there, and he played the trumpet and grew up. So I grew up in that setting. Like I grew up on big band music, and that's what I heard at home. And I don't think I heard any like pop stuff on the radio, until I
Hmm.
was like grade 9, and then pressure was on to start to be cool, which never really happened. But
No.
but it was yeah. My dad was a trumpet player, and so I was sort of weaned through the big band music, and
Okay.
I love that to this day.
Okay. And so what was your kind of first musical experience like actually playing an instrument?
Well, I started playing as far as wind instruments, trumpet, right away in grade 7 with Bob Stewartson. I
Okay.
went to trumpet school where I've now been teaching for so many years, and Bob was directing bands at the time there,
Yeah.
and I wanted to play trumpet, I guess, because my dad had,
Okay.
and yeah, so we started in grade 7, 8, 9 in the concert band there, and then continued on to the high school.
Okay. And have you ever played any other instruments than that since like during that developmental period, I guess?
Not really. I like obviously when I went to university, learned the different instruments of the band.
Right.
But strangely enough, I'm not a piano player. I know the keyboard and I know
Yeah.
the notes.
It's like the fundamental
One thing,
keyboarding skills you have to take or whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But when I was a kid, I was, believe it or not, looking at me now, but I was more of an athlete in junior high and high school up to a certain point. Played
Okay.
hockey, played a little tennis and stuff like that, and then the music bug hit me late, I guess, late junior high.
Okay.
I really became interested and thought, hey, this might be what I want to do.
Hmm. Interesting. And so these days you're into golf, I understand, right? Like you're a golfer.
Well, I play golf. I enjoy it. It's a nice walk, ruined. I know I do enjoy playing. I'm not like I'm very necessarily very good at it, but it's I've been out 7 or 8 times this summer, I guess. So it's not
Okay.
like I'm out every day. But
It's something you
I
do.
actually played tennis. I actually went out and played tennis with my son-in-law the other day.
Oh, okay.
But I can't get around too fast with my arthritic legs. But it's fun hitting the ball.
Oh yeah. So you pretty much grew up in Camrose and it was mostly music through school then? Like did you do
Yes,
anything through
basically that's.
churches or anything like that?
No, I wasn't
Okay.
involved in anything other than school music. And then as the years went by, I became more and more involved
Okay.
to the point where I remember one concert in high school with our our director. His name was Nelson Taylor, and he's actually the one that really pushed me to become, a band teacher. And at that concert, I remember being involved in the both jazz bands and the concert band, and I was doing percussion ensemble. Sort of never left the stage. And yeah, and in fact, funny thing about that teacher, Nelson Taylor, he was an older fellow. Like, he would have been, well, not old compared to me now, but he seemed ancient. But he came, and he only was here for a year, and then he had a stroke. But
wow.
but he really got the program at the high school going. It had been sort of languishing for a while.
Okay.
And strangely enough, he's also was one of Tom Spiela's teachers in Westlock.
Wow.
Tom also had Nelson Taylor before he came here.
Okay. Sheesh.
Yeah.
There's strange.
We're talking back in the 1970s. So
yeah. And so, yeah, you went through high school, and then did you go straight into like a music program after high school then? Like through to university?
What I did is, I still wasn't totally convinced that teaching was me, because my personality at the time, and generally I'm not really outgoing, although people might think I am, because you have to be a teacher and stuff. But
yeah,
inwardly, wasn't all that confident. I wasn't sure yet. So I took a year of sort of general arts.
Okay.
I went to Camrose College at the time.
Right.
And then after that year, I decided, I do want to follow this path. So the next 4 years, I went to U of A and got my B.Ed in education with a music major.
Okay. And that's the program when you're essentially learning every instrument you can, so you can.
Yeah, teach. That one is geared toward teaching music specifically. So you're studying woodwind, brass, percussion, even strings, which I've never had the opportunity to teach strings, but I remember learning them. I remember doing a concert just outside the law faculty, all these about 40 beginning violinists. I can't imagine what that would have sounded like.
I can imagine. I mean, when I worked at the music store, I could hear some of the violin students, and I'm like, oh, you're not quite at that note. No, I get it. So, and with that, like, what kind of opportunities did you have with music during your university time? Like, did you have any?
Well, there was, again, not being a person that was one to step out and like, I've changed over the years, but one to step out of my safety zone. There were probably opportunities that I could have gone for. Like, I didn't play in the jazz band, which is silly, because that's what I love.
Yeah. Okay.
But I played in the concert band at the university, and I played in a little kind of a rock band. We called ourselves the Shades. It was a takeoff on the Blues Brothers.
Oh yeah.
And we played some gigs like that. Basically that was it. And I've become more busy as a musician since becoming a teacher.
Yeah.
Different groups that I played in here and things.
Well, yeah, because here, I mean, some of the things that have evolved, like what the community band came out was 83, 84. And have you been involved with that from the start?
Well, actually, after I did my university, I went teaching in Rocky Mountain House and then Manning.
Okay.
Manning, if you don't know, is up north of Peace River. But I had actually a really strong, really good music program there. And I had grades 7 through 12. And in those years, I had, jazz bands, ensembles. We did a big trip to Nova Scotia.
Oh, wow.
And, a lot of things. And then the job in Camrose came up in 1988. And that's when I came back. So I had been gone after high school for about 10 years and came back to Camrose.
So then after, did you go straight up north, or so you went Rocky Mountain House and Manning?
Yeah.
Was it straight out of university? Just went out?
Yeah, I got the first job right out of university. Yeah.
Okay. And then it worked out that you just got the job back here.
Yeah. Well, I knew the guy. The guy's name was Brent Pierce, and he actually had gone to university with me, and he was teaching here at Charlie Killam, and I guess I got the lowdown that I knew that he was going to be leaving.
Okay.
So I kind of bided my time. I might have left Manning a year later, because I had this good program and I was really enjoying it. But Don and I both wanted to kind of start our families and be close to our grandparents. Okay. Their grandparents, our parents.
Right.
So yeah, we moved down at that time. So I've been here since '88. So the
Okay.
community band is kind of in its infancy then.
Right.
I think when I started, there might have been about 25, 30 members.
Okay.
We've got it up to more like 60, 65 now.
Yeah, it kind of fills out the high school band space now.
Yeah.
It's
so that's what I did, and then so I've been back here since '88. So
okay.
how's that?
And it was all at Charlie Killam then when you came back? Like it was just since you came back it was
Yeah, I was hired to teach the junior high band at Charlie Killam, but then also with that came the feeder schools.
okay.
So I did beginner bands, and the way the schools have set up over the years has changed. Like at one time, Sparling School had junior high there, so I was doing that
Right.
too. So I've been in what's called an itinerant teacher, so I've moved around. But I've always been at Charlie Killam, and then I've done Sparling, Jack Stewart, Sifton, and Testoraning over the years as well.
Right. And I mean those are the years that, you hope like those are the hope. Well, I mean, you're kind of the start for people, a lot of kids though. Like that's what you've been. And
Yeah, that's kind of what I consider myself a specialist at, is I get them going, and I think I take pride in how many of them stick with it from year to year. So the kids that Battle River has always had a policy of having compulsory band for the first year, which is fantastic because then you get your hooks into the music. A lot of kids that would never have taken music, never would have thought of it or thought they couldn't do it. They get that first year, and then they'll continue on into junior high and high school, and many times beyond. Like we've had, like yourself, we've had a lot of people go through Camrose here that have gone on to do musical careers.
oh yeah. And like talking with some of the other people, like Tova and Tom and stuff, it's crazy, this community, how music is like everywhere. It's like through the churches and stuff, and you get some of these interwoven things, and you do get people who are just, they kept going through music once they started.
It's actually amazing the sheer numbers of students that I have had just because of that compulsory aspect. And then I generally have probably 150 new students per year, and I've done 38 years now. So
yeah. I mean, with that too, I mean, from my perspective, that would take a lot of patience too. I'm sure that's on your resume. It's like extreme patience because man, some people, they like having it, the student has developed a bit, and you see that later on. But like the first few years, they're learning a few notes, they're squeaking, they're squawking, and they're also kids. So they're probably going to be driving you a little nuts with just personalities and doing silly things with instruments. But I mean, that's a huge thing to be able to get a kid started.
Yeah, I guess people have told me that I have a lot of patience, but I really, watching the kids, like you said, learn from the point where they can't make a sound at all.
Yeah. Go
from that point to by grade 8 or 9 when they can play some pretty good stuff and sound pretty good.
Yeah.
It's very very rewarding.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've taught some 5-year-olds, and when they actually start to understand things like rhythm, it's like, whoa, you can barely read, but you can actually you understand what's going on musically. That's crazy. But
it is rewarding.
Yeah, it's like the words, the techniques, everything that's coming out of your mouth and that you're trying to give to a student is actually working. Like they're actually listening. You're like, this is kind of neat. And I mean, from a band perspective, like hearing kind of the choir as it goes on in years, like the chorus of instruments, and then grade 6, grade 7, you hear like, hey, they're actually playing like Jingle Bells, and it doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah, no, like I said, it is very rewarding. And I spend a lot of time at the beginning when I'm first getting hold of a class, exploring the different instruments, trying to find who's interested in what, but also balance that with what they might have a potential to be good at.
Right.
And a lot of times you can kind of steer them in a certain direction. Well, some kid does a tryout, like we do tryouts on all the different pieces,
right?
Which is scary sounding right now in times of COVID. But of course, we've got disinfectant and we're cleaning and things. But yeah, if they get a really good sound on a trombone mouthpiece, and they think, well, they wanted to play the flute because their friend's playing the flute. But there's a lot of politics involved, but usually I'm able to get fairly well balanced group, which is a big part of making a band sound good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and that's that's the aspect of being a teacher too, is you can identify, this is what you should play this, even if the kid's like, you're the one who has the expertise, and it can pay off if you find the right instrument, the student, the kid has a good time with it, like they find it's better for them by you identifying it, then they're going to keep up with it. They're going to try.
Yeah, for sure. Like in your own case, you played bass in a jazz band, I believe.
I played baritone sax. You got me into baritone sax.
I mean, you're on baritone sax, but
yeah.
you I guess you started bass later then.
I started bass in university.
So your sister played bass.
Yeah, I think both my sisters played bass.
Right. Okay.
My little sister and I mean, if she watches this, whatever, but she'd admit that she didn't know what she's doing half the time. So. My older sister a little more, but like my little sister would just be like, I don't know.
Well, that's the thing at that age, and they know a little bit, and then at the end they know more.
Yeah.
And then they go on and as they go on through the grades, it becomes more like the ones that really don't have a clue what's happening tend to drop out, and gets more and more rewarding for them because they're playing with other kids that want to play.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, I mean, I liked playing baritone saxophone, and I have more recently looked into getting another one, but I'm like, well, I don't think I can afford that right now because they're not cheap, but I mean, of the saxophones, that was the one I liked the best because it fit me a bit better. Bass saxophone was kind of weird because I played that in grade 12, but tenor sax, I didn't like the range. I just like the baritone sax range and the sound, and
and it fits right into the jazz band. It's integral for the jazz band, where bass is more of a specialist instrument. In fact, Camrose, the high school here, I think, is one of the few bass saxes in the area.
Yeah, and that thing's a beast. Ugh. I carried that home a few times, like walking home with that thing.
That's one thing I'll say is the commitment for kids. I always get after my students for that, because they'll say something like, well, I can't carry my clarinet home because I live by Mirror Lake. And I always tell them the story about one classmate I had. She played bari sax and she played bass clarinet in the concert band, and she carried both of those monsters home from the high school down to near Charlie Killam, one in each hand. But of course, maybe they balanced each other, so it wasn't like she was carrying anything. I don't know.
Well, I know my double bass, the case I have for that thing, I can wear it on my back, but that also makes it really awkward getting in some places. So, but it's definitely like there's no excuse. You can shove a flute in your backpack. Come on, guys. But yeah, it's definitely like those formative years and like identifying, like you give the students a chance to try instruments, which is a huge thing in itself, but like getting opportunities to try like jazz band, and you also send kids to honor band as well, like the Alberta Honor Band, right? Like that's another thing. Yeah, and kids,
junior high school honor band, which is I've tried different philosophies. Like some years I've sent some kids based on attitude, who kids that are good players, but maybe not the very top ones.
Yeah.
Usually top superstar type players. But it's a chance. It's similar to sports. If you're being sent on to like a regional or provincial basketball team or something, it's an opportunity to play with peers that play as well or better than you. And so that's gone. As long as that program has existed through the Alberta Band Association, we've taken advantage of that. We've had usually 4 or 5, up to 8 kids per year. We go to that.
Well, I know like. One thing I've always found with some of the students I've taught, like who go to you for band, they get so excited talking about like, oh, I'm in honor band. They're so like, we had honor band rehearsal, and there's all those things. They get so excited about it, and it's those opportunities are huge.
Okay, so that honor band, that's a different honor band.
Oh,
I was
is it?
thinking provincial.
Okay.
I do. Well, I started, 25 years ago, what I called the grade 6 honor band.
Okay.
And they would. That's kind of a recruiting group for grade 7. So kids, anybody who wants to play in that and has exhibited a pretty good attitude and effort in class gets in. So I've had groups of up to 100 and 120 have gone down to Red Deer and actually been very successful. I did the honor band myself for the first 5 or 6, 7 years.
Okay.
And then Bob Wilson helped me. He would bring some kids in from his schools in Round Hill, and we kind of joined forces. And then in the last 10 years or so, Tom Spila when he had grade 9 students. No, sorry, not grade 9. What am I talking about? He would just come help and assist.
Okay.
And he was teaching grade 6 at Chesteroni. And Norm Skredding has helped out, so it's been a good program over the years. So we've actually got quite a name down in Red Deer at the ABA Festival they always look forward to our group coming, but then they always dread it because they have to set up the stage for this monster live band.
I mean, fair enough. You're getting a bunch from Camrose that are decent players. Like, can't complain about that. Yeah. And it's funny, like the people you mentioned, like they are players. Like all those teachers, Tom Spila, Bob Wilson, Norm Skredding, they know their stuff. And it's just the experience you get out of that. I wanted to talk about, because you student taught under Tom Spila, right? Is that?
I did.
Yeah, because there's that weird connection, because it's like talking to Tom before, it's just that strange, you guys have such a interwoven relationship, it seems. It's crazy.
Well, everybody thinks we're the same age. I probably look older than he does, but so we when we go up to the teachers convention or something, we drive up together, and we're kind of the only two music guys, right, in Camrose at the time. And now Combs retired now, but then there'll be the phys ed guys or somebody. They'll say, "Oh, there's the band boys," Yeah. But so we've been very closely associated with being. I think people think, they're about the same age, but of course I student taught under Tom.
Yeah.
For a year in this year, or not a year, but in one of my years of university.
Okay, and so
that was a good experience.
When would have that been? That would have been.
That was 1982.
Okay.
So that's when I was starting my career.
Okay.
And Tom would have been here in Camrose at that time for about 4 years.
Okay.
So it wasn't all that long into his career either.
Yeah.
I think he might have been teaching for about 10 years by then.
Yeah. Well, and I just find that interesting because you guys, because of that close relationship, there's also that you kind of start the kids off and then they go to him, and it's just that that's been a conveyor belt of music students essentially, just constant. Like there's never been, I don't even, how many years was that going straight with you guys? Just
for sure. Like from when I came in 88 to when he retired, about when 2016 or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but it was, we've been very lucky because I think we're very close philosophically as to how we approach teaching music to the kids and the way we do it. And so, there's never been any disagreements or, I don't know how to say it. There's never been any problems. And so we work very closely together. So, I'll tell him about the kids that are coming up to the high school, and now I'm doing the same thing with Graham Green at the high school.
Okay.
Fill them in on the kids that are coming, what instruments they play, and Tom will communicate with their families or with them and recruit, similar to what I do coming into the junior high. So it's been a really good situation here for many years.
Yeah, I mean and because of that also, like there's a solid friendship there, right? Like you guys are just,
definitely.
It's I mean, I could talk about even your living arrangements, how far apart you guys live, but I won't, but it's always been just an interesting thing because, growing up here, it was like, that was kind of, my siblings went kind of through the whole program. So, my little sister and my brother were saxophone players. And then my older sister was a flute player, or flautist, if you want.
Melanie was a flautist.
Yeah. I couldn't, I tried it. I couldn't play it.
Actually, flute is the one that I struggled the most with when I was learning the instruments in university.
I can't blow properly with it. I play recorder and I always overblow, so I have to get rid of excess air all the time through my nose or something, because it's just, there's too much wind. I don't know. But that's why I like the bigger instruments, because I could blow and, I had that lung capacity for it. So then you and Tom still, you're both community band members, but let's go into, you play with Battle River Big Band.
Yeah, that group was, how many years, because you're in there, how many years I think that group's a little over 5 years old.
Yeah, it's not that old compared to some things, but yeah, I started once. I've done one full season, I think.
Yeah, you replaced the gal that was playing bass with us before, but um, yeah. So Dennis Rusinak is the father of that group, I guess, and got that started. And it was going pretty well. And we, as you know, we've done quite a few gigs and stuff like that. But like everything else, it's on hold right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, community band. I played trumpet and for many years there, and have seen lots of. It's really kind of cool seeing up and coming, or even former students in there.
Yeah.
We've had like Sarah Bernard and Carson Vienegard and way back to Alex Fielding and all kinds of people that have been in the community band that I taught in grade 6.
Yeah. Well, then I think when I played in my university credit years, I was playing percussion, I think, because I had just started grade 11. I think it was, I did the beginner band with Thomas Vila. But I know it's terrible. Like I had a lot to learn when it came to percussion back then.
I remember you played in the group for a couple of years, or
a few years, and on and off. And then I tried double bass when I got that, just to learn a bit, just to practice it a bit. But yeah, it's like that group. If you like your concert band music, that's a solid group to play with. Just because you do get that.
That's a nice thing about having both opportunities, the community band and then the jazz band, to play that style as well.
Yeah, and is that do you prefer jazz music over everything else? Are you is that your?
No, I can't really say I have a preference. I just love it all.
Yeah.
No.
What about country?
Totally different thing. Well, I can't. Yeah. Okay. I'm seeing this first playing. Honestly, I'm sorry if anybody's listening. I'm not a country fan.
No.
Although, having said that, country rock, I like things like Eagles, that kind of stuff. But I just like the real old twangy sort of country. That's not my thing.
Well, and like I play in a rockabilly group, and we do some sort of country stuff. But it's more that upbeat, like fast, fun, like Chet Atkins stuff, and or Carl Perkins, I should say. Why am I saying Chet Atkins? Carl Perkins stuff. We're doing a lot of that.
Right.
And so that's where I think country, if you have that blend. Anyhow,
there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the sound of it doesn't appeal to me as well.
Right.
And I'm not a rap fan.
No, I'm fair enough. I mean, it's when it comes to, I mean, you can generalize things like, do you like jazz? I think jazz is such a huge. You could go so many ways with that because you have like Latin and you have swing and like standards, like big band stuff. I don't like jazz fusion. I can't stand it. Like I can stand it for like a minute and then I'm like, okay, that's another 20 minutes of this song. Okay, I'm done. Jazz fusion is just so hard to listen to. But you grew up on the big band stuff.
The big band specifically, like in our younger years, Val and I went to Disneyland on a trip, and we were lucky enough to see the Count Basie big band, which at the time, or actually throughout history, they're one of the top, along with Duke Ellington, probably the biggest big band name that you can think of. And he was playing nightly at the band shell there, and we just sit and watch him for hours. Val's even got a picture with Count Basie.
Wow.
So that was kind of neat. But yeah, like I said earlier, I was kind of reared on that kind of music, and you have a certain feel. Like when you're playing big band stuff, you have a feel for how that music goes.
Right.
So I love that stuff. I love what I really like about playing in the community band is like, the level of music we're playing is not, for someone experienced like myself, it's not terribly difficult.
Yeah.
But I just enjoy watching Tom conduct them and watching the group progress and learn.
Yeah.
It's almost like stepping back and when you're teaching the band, it's different than watching someone teach them.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. And then we have our ensemble as well. I Simply Brass. I don't know if you mentioned that.
That's a quintet?
Yeah, brass quintet. That we actually started that group. You probably talked to Tom about that. We started with Eric Olson's wedding, I think.
Okay.
Our first time we got together to play, and we thought, hey, this is great. We enjoy this. So we've gone on, and it's a group that we don't meet sort of like every Tuesday or something. We just meet once in a while when we've been invited to play somewhere.
Right.
And enjoy making music, and we have quite a large repertoire, and we're trying to, when the time comes here, we're going to expand it some more.
And who are the members of that group?
So it's my Len Bussey plays first trumpet. I play second trumpet. Trombone is Norm Redding.
And then French horn is Olaf Tra.
Okay.
I don't know if you know
Yeah.
Olaf.
Yeah.
Yeah. And quite often, actually, Juanita Holm has
Oh,
sat
right.
in
Okay.
for, and then Tom on tuba.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've done, we've performed at Festival of Trees and
Yeah.
those types of things. We've done a couple of weddings. We did a funeral. We've done, gosh, something at the beginning. We did my son's PJ's tribute concert. There's been a lot of things that we've done, and we have a wide variety of music. We've got hymn tunes, we've got pop type tunes, we've got marches, transcriptions. So it's great.
And so that you're just you like it all. Anytime you get to play music is, yeah.
I just love music. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the funniest thing when I played in the big band, when I started, I was literally between you and Tom. Like, I was like, you're on one side and Tom Spiela's on the other side. And like, I better be half decent so they actually know I'm still doing, like, these are my teachers. They better know that I'm decent. So, but that group, I love that group just because it's what it is. It's like playing in jazz band back in high school again, except some crazy players in this group. Like, it's like people who want to be there. And
well, there's some really advanced players when you think of like the level of like Len on trumpet, for example, and the Dennis on saxophone, and there's some good players in there.
Yeah.
Tom on guitar.
It's fun. Like, the repertoire's fun. It's also, it's not one of those things where you're going to sit down and just play, though, either. Some of the repertoire can be kind of tricky, and you're like, what is this nonsense that I'm playing? And what are these sounds I'm hearing? Because there's some weird stuff we've played.
That's kind of the conundrum with that group, is that, it's so fun to play, but we need, even top players like those people I mentioned, we need rehearsal to play together.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can practice by yourself, but then you'll hear something, and that might throw you off. You'll hear something else from the group, and you're like, that sound didn't make sense.
And we've got a variety of people in there in different walks of life and places in their life. And for myself, when I was, forget this year, but when I was teaching all my extracurricular groups and my regular lesson plans, and honestly, like, I couldn't do a steady weekly rehearsal along with community band plus all my stuff. So, I preferred to rehearse 4 or 5 times before a gig, but I'm sure there's players in there that would love to play every night in there if they could.
Yeah, and I think there's different ways. I've talked to a few members about this off stream, so we won't get anyone watching from the band who's like, why are these guys saying these things? But just talking about like some potential solutions, like, doing things like smaller ensembles every once in a while or whatever, like, do a small group where essentially the rhythm section would be there all the time, but you could have quartets or something. For like,
and we did that at Christmas time, didn't we? And with Aspen, I know that we did some brass and sax quartet,
just
sections.
But definitely, like, that band is just, I don't know. It's one of those things you need practice, I think. And it's when, like you said, if there's a lot of things. I'm showing up to rehearsals usually late because I was teaching, and I'd get there when you guys already started. And if it was in Wetaskiwin rehearsal, I'd be showing up pretty late. So.
Yeah, and it's hard to. You're right. It's hard to find a time that sort of suits everybody in a location like that. But
well, and the location's a huge thing, because how do you fit that many people in a space sometimes? But luckily, there are teachers who are able to, where we have been able to use their spaces. Yeah. So. Oh, I just lost your audio. I don't know. Your audio just cut out.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Okay, not sure what happened there.
I don't know what happened there either. Well, now we have you back. Oh, by the way, Landon Leesaw says, hi, Bob and Steve. Camrose is a music factory thanks to Bob and Tom.
Thank you, Landon.
So, yeah, and by the way, if anyone is watching and live, they can ask their questions, and I'll forward them on to Bob if they have questions for him. What were we talking about before your mic died?
We were talking about Simply Brass. No, sorry, we were talking about Big Band.
Oh yeah, I mean, that group is, I think it's still trying to figure out its legs from my perspective, but They're still trying to figure out how the band works. I didn't realize it was so young though. After talking to a few people, like, oh, it's only been around that many years. Okay. Whereas,
Yeah, I honestly don't remember exactly, but I don't think it's more than 5-6 years.
yeah. So like the community band's been around since early
that
80s,
was
right? So
83. Yeah.
yeah, and I that group. The one thing I liked about that group was just because you do see a lot of these people, in the community. It's a lot more open. The repertoire isn't as difficult, and so you get to play some epic tunes. You get to play some stuff that's just like the movie themes or whatever. And it's a little more interesting that way. But
well, and it's that is a fun group to play in because of that. Like we have so many different varieties, like you said, movie themes and pop things, but there's also, transcriptions of classical pieces. There's marches. Every community band has to have some marches, and so it's a well-established community band for sure.
right.
A lot of times adjudicators will come to Camrose from afar, and they'll be amazed that a city this size has a community band to that level.
Yeah. Well,
Level of playing participation as well.
Well, then I think that's the whole music program in this town is nuts. Like where you get, a lot of the choral things or the band things. Just there's a lot of insane musicians that come out of here. And again, it's the music factory. We'll say you guys are, and I think that's a huge thing for a community this small. Like, what are we at? 19,000 people or something at this point or something.
Yeah.
That's the population.
Something like that.
But even, we were at 15,000 years ago, and just having some of these people like running things in Alberta, like Brendan Lord, he's like part of the Choral Federation or something, and
Well, we've had a lot of representation. Like I did 9 years on the Alberta Band Association board. Tom did his stint earlier on the ABA board.
Yeah.
And, there's different organizations provincially that we've been on, and so Camrose is on the map.
Yeah.
Because it's not just us, because of lots of people that, they know about us.
They know, but they just don't know where Camrose is. That's all. Nobody knows where Camrose is.
Calmar or Canmore.
Well, what was it? There was one person. I think they were trying. I can't remember this was. I think it was when I was working at the store, and they were telling me that somebody thought Camrose was Canmore, and they drove all the way to Canmore. And it was like, because they were going to pick up a guitar or something like that, and it's just like, oh, that's a side trip.
I've heard of people doing that, and even newscasters, they'll say something about Canmore, meaning Camrose.
Yeah. Oh well. So these days, what are you up to? Like with so everything got shut down in March. And I did talk to Marshall a bit about what he was doing in that time, because school was still technically running. But there's that, like I got shut down kind of the Tuesday of that week, and I was supposed to play like a few gigs that weekend. When was school shut down? Was that was like mid?
It was like March 15th.
Yeah.
Because I was I was coming back. Val and I had gone down. She came down with me, and I adjudicated Medicine Hat Music Festival this year.
Okay.
And it was great experience, good bands and everything. And come back, that was the Friday I got back, and then Monday it was closed.
Yeah.
Just like
it was pretty instant. Yeah. Yeah, I was
top of my game, ready to go get back into the band class, and can't. And it was at first I remember thinking, well, if everybody's really careful for 2 weeks, we'll be okay. Nobody knew.
Yeah, people were still kind of like, well, we could maybe get away with, like, there was still that uneasy, like, maybe we could do this. And yeah, I taught on the Monday before that. I was teaching them the next day. They're like, no, we're not going to do it. So Landon says all the time, you're from Camrose, you must ski a lot. That's his comment. Evan Howe, Heather says, hi Bob, missing you, hope we can have band again.
Yes, definitely. I'm looking forward to that time again, Heather. And Landon, no, I don't ski. Sorry, I'm from Camrose. I don't ski. That's like being from Manning.
But that's like the Canmore thing, right? Like Canmore, everybody skis, but Camrose is.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, we used to have the ski program, right? We used to have like biathlon, and that all got shut down, unfortunately.
Well, is it shut down for COVID, or is it shut down?
The biathlon program got cut years ago. Yeah. I mean, like as that university keeps, doing things with different programs. So, with is like, I don't even think they're having classes there this year or something
No,
on campus.
I think it's all online at the beginning.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that they had, like, I thought they still had a biathlon program there. But
I think they cut it like, how many years ago would that be? I had a few friends who, I mean, they had their collection of rifles and stuff for that, but, you know, your mic died again. I think your mic's dead again. I don't know what happened.
Boot again.
There you go.
I'm not sure what's happening because I'm not touching anything. It's not my fault.
Okay, that's fine. It could be your internet too. Just blame the internet. That's what I usually do.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Biathlon is still available through cadets.
That's
if it's ever allowed. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're allowed again. Exactly. Yes.
I mean, I've read some of the guidelines for like even phys ed and stuff in schools, and I'm like, these don't make sense. It's like you can play sports, but just socially distance. That doesn't make sense to me. I want to hit.
Really sure what's going to happen at our school because musically, we can't do wind instruments right now, so we can't play.
Yeah.
Or play. But I'm not sure if they're going to be doing, hockey academy or something like that stuff. I don't really see the difference.
Right. No, it's yeah, and there's been some strange stuff when I've tried to figure out just playing outside even, and it's like, what can we do? Like, can we have like a wind ensemble outside? Like just a small like, quartet or something. And the guidelines, they just give me the generic response of like, well, no wind instruments, no singing. It's like, but we're outside, we can spread apart pretty far.
Yeah, I think that kind of stuff, like, because I was talking to Tom and the other guys in Simply Grass about, we talked about maybe doing an outdoor thing, just, outside of a senior facility or something, just to give them some, we can socially distance enough outside, I'm sure that it would be fine. But as far as officially like school things, that's not going to be on the roster for a while at least.
Well, and I can plug this, but I guess Dennis Rusnick is doing this Sunday at 2:00 or something. I think they're doing like a saxophone quartet at by the Lake Park in Wetaskiwin or something. So
okay, I know that Dennis has been doing some things, which is great because he's amazing for the things that he organizes, and but like the whole COVID thing is just, it's so unknown, right, to everybody. We don't know where we're going to be. Like, hopefully, is this over in a year? At this time next year, if I'm sitting here and everything's back to normal and we can teach, then great, I can reboot my music program and start them over again. But nobody knows.
Yeah, and that is kind of the issue too. It's like, until you get back in the schools, you don't know what's going to happen either, because it could just be a big problem, and then or it could just be people take their precautions and it's fine. Like, you don't know until you try something these days.
Yeah, for sure. It's a little bit frightening.
Yeah.
But you were asking me what I've been doing.
Like
since then.
Yeah.
So when it was canceled in March, what happened is I set up a Google Classroom for my students, and I was encouraging them to just play their instruments, because they had them, of course, for the year, and submit some solos and things. And it was, I guess, disappointing, but understandable. Like, it was new to them too. I did get, I got maybe 10 or 15 of them. And one particularly striking one, a little fellow named Oli Hay.
Okay,
and,
I know him.
Yes, this kid is amazing. Like, the thing we were working on a piece of music for the music festival, which of course didn't happen. But like, I shared it with some of my music teacher friends and said, okay, he's the next thing. But I was basically helping other teachers. My assignment was to assist them. So we were delivering online lessons for social studies and language arts.
Okay.
And it actually ended up being fairly heavy as far as demands for number of kids on there and keeping up with them and grading them and stuff. And but I wasn't the one in charge. I was assisting a couple other teachers, three other teachers.
Okay.
And then, that's sort of how we finished out this school year.
Right.
Or the one just finished. But this coming school year is going to be, I'm not actually sure yet. Yeah. There's so much unknowns. The administration is working very hard on scheduling and things that might work for them.
Yeah.
But we really don't know yet. Like there's a survey for parents, and we don't really know yet how many will be sending their kids and how many will be doing home
Right.
schooling.
And I think that's
Homeschooling.
it's
Yeah.
as you know, it's fair enough to understand that people don't know. I know it's a hard thing when you are a teacher though, and you're like, I don't know what my job looks like this year, in the sense like, what am I doing? Like the stuff you've been doing for how many years is all of a sudden having to change.
I had vision. I really had hoped to, you know, and I have my numbers for retirement. I've had them for quite a few years. But I still love teaching band and love the kids. So I wanted to do it for another 3 or 4 years, and you know, I probably still will, but hopefully it's not all going to be like this.
Yeah.
I want to reboot that program and get it moving again at some point whenever we can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's tricky, especially because that was a program, you know, you have band or like some of the arts just in general. Those are the programs kids look forward to. If they aren't the most physically able kids, they'll probably be more into those kinds of programs. And I think it's huge to have those, and having those kind of go sideways.
And lots of kids that, yeah, for sure. And lots of kids that are actually involved in both, like at the junior high level anyways. I've got kids that are just nuts about hockey, and they play their team, and then they also play in the hockey academy and all this, but they're also in band, and that balance is great. I know it becomes a bit more of an issue as they, you know, get up into the high school years, and it's harder to follow both streams. But one of the nice things about junior high is you can offer this nice balance of education.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes I found junior high was kind of the first step of discovering a direction. And then the next was kind of getting out of high school, and you did a year outside of high school of general studies and trying to figure out that direction. That's kind of almost the next step. But junior high is a huge developmental set of years. Evan Howe says, band is what makes school worth going to. Evan's favorite subject.
Right on. I like to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
Tell the administration, tell Central office, trumpet it from the hills.
Yeah, get rid of, you know, we don't need math, just do band.
Well, that's the one thing that I always provide. In fact, I've even put this on concert programs, is how music is so interrelated. Like, you know, there's nothing more mathematical than rhythm, playing a rhythm. And you know,
and it's, I mean, as somebody who likes teaching people how to count, I you know, like, kids are always amazed at how I count sometimes, because I just count stupid times. And, you know, like showing kids how to count 30-second notes or something, and like the actual syllables you use, and like dividing them up. And there's a lot of math to music. We don't need social though. That's the one we can get rid of.
Well, you know, like math, there's the science, of course. Science is sound, and the study of sound, and the math, science, social, language arts, all the reading, and the definitely language, right? So that's one of my main points when I'm defending music programs. Not saying I've had to defend them, because our district has been very supportive of music over the years.
Yeah. No,
it's not actually. I speak to my colleagues in other cities and stuff, and there's not many places that have the luxury of having compulsory band at a certain grade, and then streaming off into options after that. Like I said earlier, so you can interest the kids and see who might like to go on.
Well, and that's what actually surprises me too, like with my nieces and nephews and things like that, where they go to school in Edmonton, and, you know, they don't have to take band. And I'm like, what? That seems weird, but that's because I'm from Camrose, I guess.
Yeah. And if you have, there are other philosophies that has kind of propped up over the last decade or so, is so many different options. You know, so at one point we had like 25 things the kids can pick from. Well, it does make it hard. And if I didn't have that compulsory grade 6 component, it would have been really hard to make a large program like that.
Yeah. Like, and that's the advantage though. Camrose, it's crazy the amount of options that they do offer at both the junior high and high school level, for this community. But I do think, like, music, when it comes to, you're doing a lot of breathing. Like, that's one thing, whether you're singing or playing an instrument. And I think that you're getting more oxygen, and sometimes kids need that need a bit more oxygen for their heads, so they're actually thinking properly.
Well, it is a physical activity for sure. Some people don't think, but it's definitely physical and mental.
Yeah, it's definitely. And your picture froze. There it goes. Your picture's back.
Yeah, you were frozen for a while there too.
Okay, perfect. I'll blame the internet. That's what we do. But yeah, it's definitely like for your head. Like, you can begrudge going to math or whatever, like going to those classes because you don't like them. Maybe you're not doing well. But band, just because you're hearing music, which I think is huge. If you like music, listen to music all the time, like all the time. I don't care who you are, listen to music. Being and hearing those sounds and how they can affect you is a huge therapeutic thing. For anything else, it's huge. I remember going to a few rehearsals, just like, I don't want to go there. But once I'm there and I'm playing and I'm in there, then my mood completely changes.
Yeah, it definitely happens, because even with myself, like teaching band all day, and maybe you've had a long day and you've had like nothing but beginner bands that day or struggles for one reason or another, and then you have a rehearsal, like you said, oh my goodness, I don't feel like going, but yeah, you get there and you get pumped, right?
Yeah. And if it's a big band rehearsal, we're not getting home till what, like 10, 10:30, 11 sometimes.
then try to go to sleep without running the songs through your head.
Yeah. Especially if you do get that, like, if you get, like, I guess you could call it an adrenaline rush from it, but if you're having a good time with it and you're like enjoying what you're doing, it can take you a bit to crash. And then of course, if you have early morning band classes, like, do you do wind ensemble, right? Early morning?
No, not well. No, I do jazz band in the morning.
Okay,
so
that's the one.
Yeah, sometimes that makes, if you have our big band in the evening, and the next morning you have 7:45, or I'm there usually 7:30 for that.
Yeah. But that can make it a little.
That's actually one of the most enjoyable parts of my job, though, is you get the kids that really want to play.
Yeah.
I was mentioning Evan, and they get into the jazz band or different ensembles, or they want to do a music festival piece or something. So it's all extracurricular time, but it's rewarding time because you're with kids that really want to work.
Yeah. Speaking from a private music teacher, it's like every week I get, a kid will keep saying they didn't practice, whatever, they didn't do whatever. But then I get the student who's like practicing above and beyond. I'm just like, you're my new favorite. Like, it's just like, you're doing the work. You want to do this. And I get so excited with that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's definitely been, like I don't do this as often anymore, but I used to have the good old practice calendars where kids would write down how many minutes a week. I know it seems to have gone the way of the dodo bird, but because I was getting, at one time you would get, 25 out of 30 would hand one in, and then now it's like 2 out of 30. But for whatever reason, once in a while you get a kid that does that. And like you were just mentioning, and holy, you have to recognize them. This kid practiced an hour a day for the whole month. That's.
Well, I even find they might not be it might not be that they're practicing the best thing ever or they're doing the best thing ever, but they're doing the work. They're playing their instrument. Like, that's more important to me than them even practicing correctly or something. I'll fix the errors they're doing, but like them just picking up their instrument and doing the work is huge. Yeah. It's massive because they want to do it.
Yeah. Just to keep your chops in shape to some extent. Like I've been very guilty. I haven't been playing my trumpet at all. Really, I've been, because I was so immersed in teaching these other subjects, and I was keeping me so busy. And then summer came, and family visits and stuff. And so I have to play last post here on tomorrow, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, decoration day at the cemetery, and then you go over, or decoration day at the cenotaph, kind of by the museum there.
Okay, yeah.
And then you go over to the cemetery and play last post for the veterans' graves there.
Okay.
So last post is not the easiest thing to play on, because it's all open notes and it's all lips. So I guess I better blow my trumpet a little bit too.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I hadn't played my double bass until a few months after we got shut down. And man, the blisters on my plucking finger were brutal. And even now I'm kind of rehearsing once a week in a socially distanced setting. And yeah, my fingers are getting worked in again, but man, the pain of it was just not.
Have you been playing you and Eric have been playing the outdoor farmers market?
No, it was just, we weren't sure of the restrictions that would go on. It looked like the farmers market was set up differently. And I don't think they were taking entertainers. from what I understood. They were taking vendors, but not entertainers. So we just kind of figured like the hassle of it at this point, and we were just going to take a break this summer from it. That's all.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of that. Like, I was just talking to Tom yesterday. No community band this year at the beginning. We'll know how long that goes, but like that hasn't since '83. So we're in a different world, right?
Well, and what I've been doing more recently is I've been rehearsing with do you know Stephen Olson and his brother Leaf?
I know Stephen, guitarist, yeah.
Yeah, and his brother plays drums, and I'm playing double bass, and we're just in my garage. We're separating and just rehearsing, just some rockabilly stuff, just for fun. We might be playing a few outdoor things in September, but it's definitely like when you have a smaller group like that, it isn't so bad. But when you're starting to add, 20 members, then it gets a little more difficult to keep the space.
Yeah. And I'm getting a lot of emails and studies about things like for covers you can put on the end of your horn.
Yeah.
And then you also you could a mask that you wear and just have a slit big enough for your embouchure.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I don't think it's feasible for a music program like mine because there are just too many kids.
Yeah, and
in fact, they're using the music room as a classroom now.
Yeah, and are they using it as a classroom?
Well, they have to because we're working in cohorts and they have to divide up which area, which groups are in.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, the music room won't be used for music as such at the beginning anyway, but still kind of hurts to see it being used for other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it's going to be difficult, I think, fall for the first bit. Just trying to figure everything out. Like everyone, I think it's going to be across the board. You're so used to signing up for all your activities. You have like the field house does its sign up night and everything. I think it's going to be a bit of a delayed year, if not a year off of things, which is going to hurt people, definitely. But
it is.
Yeah, especially kids.
What? I hope. But, yeah. Hopefully, if there's I don't know what to say. Hopefully, if there's a vaccine or something, but. 1 year from now, if we can be in a more normal position, then we're going to look back at it and we're going to say, yeah, there was that 1 year.
Yeah, yeah. Which is 2020. Lovely. That's a good number for that year too. Okay, so we are getting low on time. So if anyone has questions, they're free to ask. Evan Howe says, too many kids is a good problem. And the next comment is after school band in the gym. So
yeah, and I don't know how those are ideas I'm sure our administration has thought about, but just because it's after school doesn't mean the virus isn't there.
Yeah.
So, I think they're being careful of anything inside.
Yeah, because liability or something makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, that's even with businesses, they're being careful because they just don't want to get in trouble. It makes sense.
What I'm hoping is that we can, as far as any music, is kids that do have a band instrument, similar to what I was doing here, I'll set up a Google Classroom and give them some instruction or some assistance, what I can online, and then they can play and submit things. At least they're still playing.
Yeah.
To some extent, but
just not right in your face. It's online. Yeah.
I'm not sure how it's going to work for myself because I am a little, I'm in my 60s now and I have asthma and borderline diabetic. So those are sort of high risk things.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I'm going to be I'm not with the studio anymore. I'm teaching privately now, and I'm teaching back here, and I'm going to be taking precautions. But yeah, it's going to be
interesting. Individual students.
I'll be teaching here individually is what I'll be doing. But I'm figuring that out. I've been teaching actually outside during the summer, but once it gets cold, I can't do that as much.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but we'll be seeing what goes on. That's about it, I think, for today. I think that's all we're going to be talking about. So if people want to watch this again or they can share it with other people, they can. It'll be on my YouTube channel, and you can check that out. Yeah, thanks, Bob, for being here and talking about this. Hopefully things improve and we'll be a happier bunch of people. It's hard, I think, being when there's so much weighing a person down to keep your spirits up, but we do what we can.
I should probably mention too, over my entire career, 38 years and plus, is the thing that's managed to keep me going is supportive family. Because in music teaching, this type of job, you're gone a lot with different trips and rehearsals and concerts, festivals. So, you know, Val, my wife, and my kids when they were still home, Brittany, Hallie, and DJ when he was here, they were also supportive, and they were all, you know, involved in music themselves too.
Right.
So it family things. So I've been blessed that way.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's huge when you are, like you said, you're away, you're yeah. So, and I mean, essentially that's your main family, and that's a huge thing for me too. My family is like the people I trust. And I mean, it's me solo, but then my like siblings and stuff, they're the ones I put a lot of my trust in, and they're huge for, you know, helping to drive me and keep me going. So, yeah. So Landon, I have to apologize. Tom's interview will not be reposted because he was very specific in not wanting it archived. So I can't post it again. Sorry. Anyhow, that's it. If anyone wants to check out there are other interviews, but Tom's was an exclusive one. It was limited time. Deanna's was last week. Next week I'm taking a break. And then I think there's going to be one the week after. So if you want to follow who's coming up for interviews that I'm doing, I'm going to do them more irregularly come the fall because I'm going to be a little busy trying to figure things out. It'll be posted on my Facebook page, Stephen Hartman Music, and you can find out when those events are going. Is there anything else I have to say? Nothing. Good. Yeah. So thanks again, Bob. And if you just stay on, I'm just gonna shut us down, and then we'll just chat after. But stay on the line. Thanks everyone for watching this, whether live or afterwards, and you can comment and like all these things. So see y'all later, and thanks for watching.